WWE's big move to Netflix. It's about to be a lot bigger than we even imagined. We'll talk all about it. Also, World Wrestling Entertainment currently boasts one of the most stacked female rosters in the industry. But stacked is not good enough for them, as they went out and landed one of the hottest female pro wrestlers in the industry, at least currently. And it's left a lot of the community absolutely stunned by the decision, and reportedly, many companies upset at the decision. We'll talk about Stephanie's big move to WWE. And WWE is going to land another massive female wrestler, as her contract currently is set to expire in January 2025. We'll talk about who that is as well, and how WWE's women's roster somehow is about to become even more massive. That's all coming up in this upload. We'll also go over this week's ratings report. I have all the numbers for the week. The go-home show for SmackDown to Money in the Bank, the post-Money in the Bank Monday Night Raw, the post-Heatwave for NXT, AEW Dynamite. And I think the word is unfortunate for all of these numbers. Money in the Bank was supposed to help WWE's numbers, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. And for AEW, they have reached an unfortunate 3-month milestone this week. We'll talk all about it in the ratings report. And SmackDown just hours away. I have the current lineup, and you're not going to believe what WWE is trying to advertise for this show. We'll go over it all, and we're going to do it right now. My amplified unit, salute! Special shout out to all my gold card channel members. Hopefully you guys are crushing it as we head into the weekend. We're going to start off with the biggest story of this upload. That's going to be WWE's big move to Netflix. Starting in January, Monday Night Raw, leaving the USA Network. Hard to even fathom that concept, right? Monday night, 8 p.m., and you're not tuning to the USA Network. You're not even on cable. You better have that streaming service. I wonder, there's probably individuals that don't even have Netflix that actually watch Monday Night Raw every Monday. But they're making the big move. And they're not just going to make it big. They're not just going to make it major. They're going to make it massive. We already know that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is going to be back for January, setting something up big for WrestleMania. But also, he is a pivotal part of this whole Netflix deal. So he's going to try to attract as many eyeballs to that streaming service. Then you hear the big announcement of John Cena's retirement tour centering around Netflix. Not just WrestleMania. This is purposely done for Netflix. In fact, he even cited that as one of the major reasons at Money in the Bank in Canada when deciding to do this retirement tour. He literally said he wants to be a part of this whole move to Netflix. You know those discussions were being had long ago. This wasn't just a few days before Money in the Bank where Paul Levesque McMahon and John Cena and Nick Khan, they all got together. Ari was there from Endeavor. And they're like, yeah, you know what? That'd be cool. If you can stop by Netflix here and there, that'll help us out. No, John Cena is going to be a pivotal part of this whole move to Netflix, just like Dwayne Johnson. And they're not stopping there. We're hearing names like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and many more will be a part. Many episodes to kick this thing off. Not just Stone Cold for a one and done. Undertaker, we doubt very much is going to wrestle. So how many appearances can you do with The Undertaker that doesn't involve him wrestling? He's not going to special guest referee. He's not going to be on commentary. Although he is getting very comfortable behind a microphone. Podcasts. He's got the one-man dead show that he does on PLE weekends. So maybe The Undertaker can do a little commentary work. But Stone Cold Steve Austin, his long-awaited return, I do believe he will have something massive for Vegas WrestleMania 41. This is a dude that lived in Vegas for years. Loves Vegas. And if there's ever going to be a time for a retirement match, we're not just talking John Cena. Stone Cold would be that person. What better time frame than Netflix? And by the way, this is a massive request, and for the money that they're paying, more like a massive demand from Netflix to WWE. You do all you can do to grab as many fans as imaginable, bring them over to our streaming service, and we'll do everything we can do. Which includes, by the way, a massive ad campaign blitz starting in September for Monday Night Raw. And that's huge. That's massive because Netflix, they don't have that in their business arsenal. Very rarely, if ever, does Netflix do an ad campaign blitz for any of their shows, movies, or events. So for them to do this months before Monday Night Raw's big move, I mean, they really are going above and beyond. So when they say they want big names, that's why. Rock was already a big part of this. John Cena was added in because you gotta believe WWE was trying for that time frame. This is the most important time. No time ever before can John Cena be more valuable than right now. Netflix is asking for all these massive names. That's why you're going to get Stone Cold back. He's probably most likely going to do something for Mania. Undertaker might be utilized directly, more specifically for Netflix somehow. But you're going to get all these big names. And yes, if you're wondering, we are hearing anyway, and it's more than just rumor. You're going to get a massive first episode on Netflix. It's going to be even bigger than one of those Raw reunion shows. It's supposed to be absolutely massive, and the build-up to it is supposed to be huge for Netflix. What that means, I have no idea. That's just what we're hearing. Like, they're going to go all out. And again, a lot of this is from Netflix, not just WWE. Like, people within Netflix is saying that's going to be a massive week, not just the night of their first Monday Night Raw. So I don't know. It's kind of exciting to even talk about that because, like, what are they? Do they already have plans, or are they just saying like we're going to? But that whole week is going to be special. So expect something wild coming into January, guys. It's going to be. Because Netflix is really directing this ship a lot more than we thought. And I guess when you spend that much money, you're going to want to direct that ship. So we'll see, guys. But yeah, a lot of big names. And it's not stopping at The Rock and John Cena. I assure you of that. So remains to be seen. But the big move to Netflix seems like it's just getting bigger and bigger. And as we get closer, it's gonna be cool to see Netflix's big ad campaign blitz too, because they never do that. So I'm interested to see like what that consists of. If they're just gonna plaster it over cable. Like, you don't really see a lot of Netflix ads based on shows, movies, or events. You don't see it. So that's going to be special too. We'll see. Moving on. Swig your coffee, then we'll move on. All right, so moving on. First, we'll go Jordynne Grace. Her contract with TNA ends a lot sooner than a lot of people thought, including BC. She says, this is actually from Jordynne Grace, that her contract ends January 2025, just a few months. Top of the year, Jordynne Grace, free agent, at a time where Shawn Michaels is yearning at any opportunity to work with this female. Paul Levesque McMahon has given the utmost praise. She wants to do more with WWE. If her contract is expiring in January, she's done almost everything imaginable in TNA, in that Knockouts division for the company. Company invested so much in her, absolutely. But at what point do you have to sit back and go, if there's any time better than now, what could that possibly look like? This is the time. I've already been working with them. I feel like I've done everything with the company I'm in now. I feel like I have their support. Everybody there, the top execs, actually want me there, right? From Shawn Michaels to Hunter Hearst Helmsley and everybody in between. I already work well with a lot of those females, right? She's beaten NXT talent in TNA. She went over to NXT. She had such a good match with Roxy, the NXT Women's Champion. You got to believe. We're not going to overthink it. We're not going to already place her in WWE, right? That's discussion she's going to have with companies and family and friends. We get it. But the question that I would have is, it wouldn't now be a better time than any other? Isn't now the time, January, when her contract expires, isn't this the time for Jordynne Grace to hit WWE? The matches The matches, you can always go back to TNA if you feel like you left unfinished business, or you just have that allegiance to the company. But for a couple of years, I mean, you got to have those matches with the Rhea Ripleys. You got to have Jordynne Grace versus Bianca Belair. You got to have Jordynne Grace Bayley. You got to have Jordynne Grace Roxy Part 2. These are matches that I very much look forward to on a whole nother level. And I know other fans, different type of matches, but, Charlotte Flair or a Becky Lynch, maybe Liv Morgan, all of them versus Jordynne Grace. I get it, but there's a specific set of matches that I gotta see Jordynne Grace compete in. So I don't want to run in circles with this conversation. There still is a substantial amount of time beforehand, so we just don't know. But what we do know is the top executives in WWE really want Jordynne Grace. We know she has said it herself. She really wants to do more with WWE. Her contract expires in January, right before WrestleMania. If you put two and two together, man, you might have Jordynne Grace in WWE. Remains to be seen. One individual I did not know WWE wanted so bad. And I don't know, it opened the door to a lot of conversation. Was it done in spite? Was it just an FU to other organizations? Maybe Tony Khan and AEW because they just worked with this female. But I didn't know WWE was so high on Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie, another massive story in the wrestling world over the last 48 hours. Stephanie Vaquer has signed with WWE, or is going to, but she's landed in WWE. That's official. Shawn Michaels has already made that announcement on his social, and then it was kind of reposted by Stephanie herself. And that's massive. I don't know enough about Stephanie's career. There was one match I remember, it was with Julia. And I believe there was a title on the line, maybe the Strong Championship. Stephanie actually beat Julia, I believe, for that Strong title. And maybe another match or two. And that's honestly, obviously the Mercedes Moné match recently, because I had to see Mercedes Moné. That's just one of those individuals I put on a pedestal on the channel, Mercedes. So I had to see that match. Other than that, I can't claim that I know enough. But she's a big name in the wrestling world to so many, and that's why this was such a hot topic. A lot of people on both sides of the fence, a lot of arguing, a lot of tribalism. Like really, really diehard WWE fans are like, what else would be a choice? Of course she's going to WWE. And then there's New Japan Pro Wrestling or CMLL or AEW fans that are like, dude, that's shady practices. That's kind of like turning your back on those that brought you to the dance, and then you don't even dance with that partner. You show up to the dance with somebody you went with, and you start dancing with somebody else. So everybody just started kind of going at it. Again, I don't know her exact deal that she was on. From what I know, she actually had titles. So she's definitely got a partnership with companies. Maybe she was on a handshake. And again, some of you guys might know a lot more of the detail behind it. I'm just touching base on a big topic in the pro wrestling world that I know you guys are going to ask me about. And I have to do a lot more research on it. But what I do know is everybody's just going at one another. A lot of it's like tribalism. A lot of it's like, you turn your back on this company. If you're WWE fans, you're like, yeah, welcome. I don't blame you. Get over here. But it sounds like she was on a handshake deal, because she can't just breach her contract, right? You can't just have a deal with, CML. I want to put two M's in there. CMLL or New Japan Pro Wrestling. You get clearance to go to AEW to have a few matches. You can't just sign with the WWE and turn your back if you have a contract. So it sounds like there was a handshake deal. And again, you guys can clear that up if you guys know more detail on that in the comments. Feel free to clarify what type of deal she was on. But I can only come to the conclusion that she was on a handshake deal. And once she got this opportunity from WWE, she was like, out, check you. And from what I know, or I've heard anyway, is that was her dream to be in WWE. And when this opportunity came, I mean, if that's somebody's dream, it's like, yeah, you got to believe she's going there. I think what a lot of fans on the other side of the fence are pissed about is how she did it. Like, you had all of these other dates, you had all these other commitments. The timing of it, Tony Khan just kind of brought you to a whole nother audience with a matchup against Mercedes at Forbidden Door. So I think a lot of those fans were probably like, now? we just brought you to a whole nother audience. Like, now? I could kind of see that as well, but it's her dream. She thought that this was the best opportunity. We talked Jordynne Grace, when her contract expires in January and all that TNA has done for her and vice versa. But does she just go to WWE now? Like, all right, I have to move on. But this is even a little bit more different, right? She did have, from what I know of, a lot of dates that now had to be canceled. Tony Khan wanted to do even more with her. From what we're hearing as well, is that he tried to offer her a big deal. But WWE either offered more or a better deal, or she just really wanted to be with WWE. Again, that was one of her dreams when starting her pro wrestling career. So, again, I'll learn more as this all unfolds as well. This is just, I've been out and about away from the pro wrestling scene for the most part the last couple of days. And this has just been one of the biggest stories. So I did want to at least talk about some of the things that I have heard or know. I'll learn more. Maybe you guys know even more. But it sounds like she was on a handshake deal, had a lot of commitments to NJPW and CMLL, and even AEW, really wanted to use her more prominently. She chose WWE. And a lot of people are pissed off. David Meltzer is talking about how the companies are pissed off. We're just talking like fans. Like, ooh, we don't feel that's right. Melty Boy is talking about, he's hearing that the companies are actually upset. CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, AEW, they're actually upset the way that it was done. So that's the thing too. If they feel like you burned a bridge, that's when it's not good, right? Like if multiple companies are actually pissed off, then maybe there was more than just a handshake, right? Maybe there was like real vivid conversations, and all of a sudden she's just like, deuces, ooses, right? Hunter Hearst Helmsley offered me this deal. I can no longer associate with you. If they're really, like, how valid is the Meltzer report? But he's hearing that, all those companies are actually upset at how this was done. Kind of took them by surprise. So what were the conversations they were having with Stephanie previous then? Did she at least say that she was negotiating with WWE and this was possible? Because it sounds like that was never even said. So did Hunter Hearst Helmsley just recently learn that Tony brought her in for this match against Mercedes, and then Hunter Hearst Helmsley was just like, dude, I want her, get her now. Hurry up before Tony signs her. You know what I mean? Because this was right after. I didn't know much about Stephanie until I heard she was going to be this opponent for Mercedes. And again, before, I've seen the Julia match for sure. But once I found out she was taking on Mercedes, I was like, oh, well, we got to spend extra, like, this is the real deal, this girl, this woman. So Tony kind of put her on that platform, and all of a sudden Hunter Hearst Helmsley is signing her. Where was this a while back? Each time that she was up for a new contract, I didn't see anybody really jumping to get her. So a lot of people are going to use that as well. Like, this is the timing that Hunter swooped in. And how long was she on this verbal or handshake deal? Because again, you can't breach the contract. So I don't know. I know that that's her dream to work with WWE. So I'm really happy for her in that aspect. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about, her wrestling style, the matches she's going to have. She could be very special in WWE, or her booking can be so bad that she becomes just kind of planted in the mid card. Remains to be seen. It's her dream. She got signed. As long as she's happy, as long as we get the best version of Stephanie and she can rock out with this roster, I think all of us will win in the long run. If the other companies feel slighted or that she burned a bridge or that she went back on a word or things like that, of course, that's never good. And she'll have a lot of making up to do in the future. But those type of reports like from Meltzy, if they're accurate, that's only going to add fuel to the fire for the fan bases, right? For the fans of those promotions that feel like she just turned her back on them at a time where they were really rolling with her. I don't think that's going to ease those fans, why they're upset. Like, dude, there's better ways to go about business, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to know more about the details of like what kind of contract she was actually in and what the discussions were. But for those of you that aren't familiar too much with this topic, join the club, man. This has just been one of the hottest topics the last 48 hours. I had to talk about it. Maybe we can have a much better discussion about it when more details are out and we know a little bit more. But we wish her the best. I'm certainly going to learn a lot more about Stephanie Vaquer, I'll tell you that much. Because now she's signed with the WWE. What an interesting thing, though. Definitely stunned BC because she was just brought up to AEW, or at least started that working relationship in a big match with Mercedes. Tony put her on that platform, and then all of a sudden she's signing with WWE just days later. That's wild, man. Absolutely wild. So it definitely caught BC by surprise, and I know a lot of you guys. We'll see. Numbers. We got to talk number. Come on. We got to talk number. I'm getting a swig and we're talking numbers. So we're going to start with WWE Smackdown because this started us off Friday night. It was the go-home show to Money in the Bank. And this is supposed to pop a big number, right? Get everybody excited for the next night's Money in the Bank. Guys, they stayed at a 225. They didn't go up at all. The good news is they didn't technically go down, but there was no bump at all for the go-home show. 2.25 is the exact same rating as last week. So then you go to the Raw post show. A lot happened on Money in the Bank. You had the cash-in, failed cash-in, CM Punk costing. You had the Damian Priest botch fallout. The women's Money in the Bank. Wow, what a finish that was to that match. Even though that's SmackDown's winner, right, Tiffany, you still have people kind of seeing what they're going to say about it on Monday night. So you're expecting some type of a bump on Monday. No, in fact, not only did they not get a bump for the post-Money in the Bank show on Monday Night Raw, they actually went down. Last week, a 1.87. This week, a 1.75. And mind you, that was with no Monday Night Football competition, right? We'll come up with something, of course, right? We'll come up with 100 different reasons why Raw lost viewership, right? Maybe it was the Olympic trials of badminton. Maybe they added Monopoly to the Olympics, and it was the Monopoly Olympic trials, right? It drew a massive audience of 165,000 viewers, BC. At least 12,000 of those could have been wrestling fans. Maybe it was Simone Biles' grandmother's 98th birthday, right? And they played it on CBS, maybe. Maybe they had a replay of the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. We'll come up with many reasons as to why WWE lost 100,000 viewers after their big Money in the Bank PLE. But a 1.75 down over 100,000 viewers. NXT post Heatwave. They actually went majorly up from last week 542K to this week 656,000 viewers. Well over 100,000 viewers gained for NXT. That's massive. They actually defeated AEW Dynamite in the actual rating portion of the number. So they scored a 0.24. Whereas AEW Dynamite scored a 0.23 on the night. So that's interesting. Viewership, though, AEW pulled 66, 76, 86. What is that? 35,000 more viewers. Because while NXT drew 656,000, AEW drew 691,000. Unfortunately, this is an unfortunate milestone for AEW. This is their third month, complete month, 3 straight months that they have not hit 800,000 viewers. They're struggling to hit 700,000. This is a company that, again, debuted over 1.4, so they have lost over half of their audience. And on top of that, it's a company that had stayed consistent at approximately 950,000 for many months. And somehow they just can't get back to 7, let alone 800,000. So it's an unfortunate milestone, but hey, by 35-ish thousand viewers, they did beat NXT because that's their real competition right now. AEW is not competing with Raw or SmackDown or that main roster. That's not even close. Again, SmackDown is, even on a bad night, 2.25. So at 691, that's more than 3 times Dynamite's viewership SmackDown's bringing in. Even Raw, that's seeing their worst numbers of all time at 175. That is nearly 3 times, 2.5 plus of Dynamite. So the real competition for AEW Dynamite is NXT. Because NXT is starting to beat AEW a lot of these weeks. And I'm not just talking total viewership, but also point rating per demo. Like this week, 0.24 over AEW's 0.23. So that is concerning for AEW. What the good news is, though, is that they did go up this week. Even if it was 10,000. They were at like 670 or 680,000 last week, something like that. And this week, AEW Dynamite pulls 691. That may seem and is very minuscule, but at least you're going in the right direction. I always say that. At least I don't care if it's 1,000, 500. If you went up 100 views, at least you went up. You didn't stay stagnant. You didn't go backwards. So I always say it's a start. So you want to be pulling in more viewers than you're losing. Again, WWE stayed stagnant on Friday night. That was a go-home show, and then their post-show for Money in the Bank, they actually lost viewers. So, yes, it's a much higher viewership for Monday Night Raw, but you do want to gain. Even if it's slowly but surely is fine, but you want to add on, you want to gain. So, those are the numbers this week, guys. SmackDown 2.25, Raw 1.75, NXT 656, AEW 691. Speaking of SmackDown, the preview for tonight's big show, there's at this time anyway, it is very early. By the time you guys get this, it'll be a few hours before SmackDown. But as of the recording, it's still a little early. We only have 2 announced matches, and you're not going to believe this. I don't know how vivid this is going to bring in viewership, right? How vivid these matches are to people's imagination. What they really want to watch is Baron Corbin and I already forgot. Baron Corbin and Apollo versus Angel and Humberto. That's what's being advertised for tonight's show. That's real, guys. Whether it gets scrapped or not last minute, I don't know. But that's an advertised match. Baron Corbin and Apollo versus Angel and Humberto. Again, I don't know how many people are clamoring for that match. I don't know how many people are going to go, oh, remote's going down. I have to watch this. This is an amazing SmackDown. Baron Corbin and Apollo in a tag team against Angel and Humberto. And if that's not enough for you, we also have Michin versus Nia Jax is the other advertised match. And then we can just use our imagination or jump to our own conclusion that Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, the Bloodline will all be on the show in some capacity. Are we going to get another Bloodline, Cody, Randy, KO brawl that we've been seeing every single week for months now? Possibly. I'm hoping they have something more creative than what we've been seeing going into Money in the Bank and at Money in the Bank. Something tells me you might see them all together again, all brawling. We also expect some type of story development with Logan Paul, LA Knight, and, of course, the Money in the Bank briefcase winner, the contract winner, Tiffany Stratton. Something big for her tonight. It's not advertised, but that's what we're hoping, right? I mean, you got to have something for LA Knight, Logan, Tiffany Stratton, something better for Cody than we've been getting. But all we have as of right now is Michin versus Nia and Baron and Apollo versus Angel and Humberto. I hope that gets you guys excited for SmackDown. Until next time, and there will be that next time, the SmackDown review within the next 24 hours. Stay locked on the channel, do all the things, smash the up, the subscription, the notification, all of the good stuff. Smash it all. And until next time, there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out BC in the unit saying check you deuces, ooses. Go long. This is going to be a Hail Mary into the end zone, 85 yards.